Hey, what's going on, everybody? Pete Campbell here, and I'm with my brother from another mother, Zach V.
Brother.
Moore. Yeah, man, you are my brother, man. I love you, dude. So we are back, officially back, dude. This is so funny.
Lots of ups and downs.
Lots
man.
of ups and downs, lots of adventures and journeys just going on. But
Yeah.
here we are in our kind of our setup. For excited just to join with you guys today and give you guys some. Not just content, but hopefully some meaningful stuff that would encourage you, challenge you, and possibly even just equip you as you continue to walk your journey as a creative and all that stuff. So,
dude, this setup is awesome.
I know, it feels great.
I walked in here this morning and this guy had all this set up and I was like, oh, so we're like for real now.
Yeah, we are for real. I mean, we got all of our set up. We've got everything. I'm still having flashbacks of the other times when we were doing
Let's show
everything.
them what it looked like.
Yeah, we should. You know what? Yeah, we've got some bloopers of that. Zach can actually throw those in just so you can check it out, like 5 seconds, because we don't want to torture you.
What is up, everybody? Welcome
Hey.
to More Creatives Podcast.
What's
I'm
going on,
Zach,
everyone?
and this is Pete.
So what's crazy is that was actually back in, when was that? That was like December, right?
It was like January, February.
2023, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been about 10 months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And we've really nailed down our podcast game. We got such amazing cameras now, some Shure mics, and this Rodecaster that we just upgraded. With. So, but yeah, it's awesome to see how far we've come together as a company, as individuals, just in our creativity, and I'm really excited.
I know.
So what are we talking about today?
So today, I want to talk about rhythms and health, like when it comes to our creativity and just understanding kind of what all that is, man. I mean, you and I have been talking about it. So for those of you, right, I mean, Zach just highlighted, we just a few months ago, literally just started, we stepped out in faith. All right, we're going to do more creatives and trust the Lord every single step of the way and see what happens. And God just continue to provide opportunities, open doors. We've met some amazing people. Like, shout out to literally, if you guys are watching, like, we really appreciate just the opportunity that we have to partner with you. But in all of that, we've had a lot, like what you said, some ups and downs, and just trying to figure out rhythms. Because at the same exact time, I mean, right now, as of this moment, I mean, I've got a family, we've got other jobs, like all these different things, and we're really kind of. It's not a circus act.
Yep.
You know,
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, the Entree Leadership podcast.
Yeah.
It's like a Dave Ramsey's business podcast, and he said a lot of entrepreneurs today are working 80 hours a week just so they can avoid working 40. I thought that was so true. It's like, where's that balance, right? So,
dude, I feel like you just triggered something in me on that one. not cool. I'm just kidding, but no, it's true.
It's so true. Like, it's that balance and finding the healthy rhythms, and like you want to go, but if you go too fast, you're eventually going to crash and burn out. So
yeah, it's either that or sometimes, right, the other end of it, if you swing to the other side of the pendulum, it's you don't go fast enough or you're not moving at all, and then you end up missing opportunities.
Yep, exactly,
so.
Exactly. So it's that slow pace of, being patient in your business, whether that's you're doing freelance work or you're creating graphics for a company, whatever it may be, like just having those healthy rhythms and workflow is such a huge part of that.
Yeah.
Making sure that you can say no to things just as much as you can say yes to things.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Awesome,
let's
man.
get right into it.
I love it. So, Zach, I mean, bro, you're 21, right?
21 years.
22's coming up soon. When's your birthday?
November 6th.
All right. See, I knew it was coming. That's what brothers do. So
a little less than 2 months.
Yeah. As we've dove into this thing, and even just coming from your kind of what it's been for you, I mean, really in reality, right? As a 21-year-old, stepping out in faith and you and I both teaming together and saying, all right, God, like, we're going to trust you and we're going to just take it one step at a time. What has been the opportunity for you? Like when it comes to really trying to hone in on what that rhythm looks like?
Yeah. My entire life, I've never ever been an organized person. Like, if you saw my high school binder, literally just
papers everywhere.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like no organization to my life. So stepping out in faith, like knowing, like, so I went to Hillsong College. It's a leadership college, very strict time schedule and things like that. And I think that's where I really learned rhythm and like healthy workflow. And it's not like work, it's schoolwork, right? Yeah. And you really, like any aspect in your life, like you just have to have that good time management, right? For me, as I stepped out in faith and like before I even met you, I was like, I had this dream of like, I want to start this company called, it was at the time, it was like More Networking.
Yeah, and I remember that.
And like, I was like, I really, 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 really want to, step out in faith and have my own company and run, do all these different things. I've tried clothing brands in the past. I've tried drop shipping. I've tried all these different things.
All the good stuff.
But what am I passionate about? And that's creativity, that's video editing, that's social media, that's at the time not graphic design, but since knowing you, like I've picked that up as well. Just any form of creating something, like I just loved it. Yeah. And stepping out into this company and starting this back in whenever there was early this year, right? Yeah. I had to learn like how to manage my time. I took on a job at a radio station, K-Wave Radio.
Go K-Wave.
Shout out K-Wave. And they really taught me how to like expand on my giftings and really step into areas that like I like never even thought about stepping into, Okay. I was always post-production, never pre-production, like video and shooting stuff. But when I joined K-Wave, it's like they needed that. So I learned and I taught myself, like I knew a little bit here and there, but like being able to step into an environment like that and learn, I was managing all that. And then like starting this company, it's like, okay, what can I do on my own? Where do I see myself in the future? And then that's when we met. And like we started this thing and really just having the right people at the right time, speaking life into you and really like saying, hey, like this is what it looks like. This is how you do it.
Right.
And just having the resources and the community really has been super helpful in that area.
I was going to say, the community. I mean, so far as creatives, right, it's I think for a lot of us as creatives, in some way, like there's certain parts of being in community that are really life-giving. But then I know that there are other creatives out there who they're like, I need to be in my own space. I need to be away from people. I need to not like, hang out and like be extrovert. I got to just be all in, all focused. And I know we'll talk about that a little bit too as we get going. But the idea of having the right people in the right time, in the right place, understanding that. So as things continue to pick up for us, as the rhythm was getting faster, I mean, I remember when we sat down and we had that conversation, and I don't know if did I tell you or maybe you told me, like, it was kind of like, hey, we're at this point right now, like we've reached this place where either we can stay at this point and just continue to hit breakneck speeds and then eventually burn out, or we've got to learn how to trust, scale, empower, delegate, like get organized and scheduled so that we can continue to operate in the lanes and in the places that God wants for us, right? Because I think for all of us, like we've got certain niches, like niches or however you want to pronounce that word, where these are our sweet spots. And yes, for as creatives, a lot of us are good at kind of being a jack of all trades, master of none in some ways, but there are certain things that are really life-giving. So like I know for you, you talk about like, bro, I could edit videos all day, and you're talking about like, and you're telling me all of these different presets and effects, and you're like, you got to check out this transition, how I work this out, man, or AI this, and it was like, and I'm like, that's amazing. But the thought in my mind, I'm like, bro, if I was sitting down doing video editing all the time, I'd be like, this is like it's a slow death, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we complement each other,
right?
And having those people in your life, the community that can complement you on the areas that you're still learning in. Like for me, I did not know Photoshop before I met you. I used like this studio app on my phone, right?
We're not gonna say the C word. No Canva.
No Canva.
If you're a Canva user, I've
actually never used Canva.
Okay, so cool. Good stuff. Yeah. Like it.
I started in paint when I was in elementary
Hey, that's
school.
even better. Paint, that's retro. That's coming back. Microsoft Paint, baby.
But yeah, like we complement each other in those areas, and the delegation part for us is the reason why I believe that like we've taken this from absolutely not knowing what the heck we're doing to where we are now, meeting incredible people and like literally getting to the point where we get to travel now and like you know, drive out to different churches and do shoots and, you know, like manage their social media and just help out like churches with their needs, right? We're at the point where we can breathe a little bit while we're still growing. You know, I can take a week off and the company will still grow because Pete is there to run it. He can take a week off because I'm still there to run, you know, like that kind of thing. Like really a big part of it is like letting go of like, you're never going to be the only one doing it. You know, like, and training people, like how big is our team now?
So we have seven of us.
Seven people.
Yeah, 7 people on our team.
So
we went from uno dos to 7, and absolutely love the team that God's brought along, and the different personalities. Like it's really fun. So not only we're talking about, you know, personalities, but then also dynamics and scheduling. Like we've got a team member that's on the East Coast, you know, and it was like, what time we got to meet? 7 in the morning, bro. You know, different things like that. But I think that's the big part is when you're trying to develop rhythms. If you find yourself on an island, find other survivors. Like find other people. Like literally, you can't be the only one because you will naturally just you'll deplete yourself. Of everything. And when you get to those points of creative burnout and stuff like that, there's no amount of rest. There's no amount of unplugging. There's no amount of like eating, like all the different things. Like those things are only going to be temporary fixes. You know, and you'll find yourself really having a vacuum and a void that you're trying to fill, trying to make things right, trying to do all those different things, but yet you end up coming to the realization like, the harsh reality, like eventually will hit. Like you'll hit the wall and you'll realize I'm done.
And that's how important rest is.
Yeah.
You know, like learning the balance between your work and your rest, whatever your rest looks like. It's not sleeping for everybody. You know, like I can run all 4 hours of sleep and still get my stuff done.
That's amazing.
It's just being able to, I don't encourage that for anybody, but if you can do it, like I have, like it's okay, you know, like not rest isn't sleep for everyone. Rest for me is going on hikes, you know, going to the beach.
Beach is amazing.
Me and you, we went to Sequoia. Like that was rest for me. Like I didn't have to check my phone, check my emails, get a call.
And what I love about that, so Zach says that's rest, and it really was, but we were crazy. So, I mean, Zach, you're a part of our Ohana. We've told you that. And so part of that means family in Hawaiian. But, I mean, you went out there. We made this Sequoia trip, like a 4.5 hour trip out there. And in the same day, we came back late the same day. But then you're with my family, like my wife, you know, my 13-year-old son, my 10-year-old daughter, and then my 3.5-year-old who absolutely freaking adores you. Like he loves you, bro. So
I know he does.
Makai.
I love Makai.
You know, but it was restful. Like it was so cool just to be out in nature.
We got to shoot like we shot, like we still did our path, like we still had like cameras and things like that, but it wasn't work. It was just having fun and resting, like not worrying about I have to do this, you know. And that's like rest is so important.
It is so good
to find those times of rest, and really taking time off, like not long periods, but like take a couple hours to just sit. And for me, that's sitting in the presence of God. You know, sitting good. And reading my Bible, kind of just like really like I was telling a friend this recently, like my way of rest is literally doing nothing. Not sleeping, but like doing nothing. Just sitting, being still, like not worrying about anything else. And kind of beach is so good for that. Kind of just sitting. And, nature.
I mean, I did that last week. Sarah took me out. She's like, let's get out of the house. And because here in SoCal area, maybe you might not be familiar, but we have the the red tides or the bioluminescence, where late at night, when the waves crash and all the different things where you're moving through the water, like it just turns bright blue. It looks like electrical shock patterns going through the water. Yeah. But we went and did that for a couple of hours, and it was so good for me. And I brought a camera and I brought my phone and I was like, I'm going to try and take some stuff. And I was like, you know what? And I felt that that urge like to do, but then I realized like, no, dude, just enjoy the moment. And yeah, so it was fun and very life-giving. And I think that's part of it. I don't know, maybe for you, Zach, but the idea of doing nothing, not really doing nothing, but like just sitting, resting, like instead of feeling that drive to create something or trying to meet a deadline, getting to a point where you can just, either take the time and admire the creation. Mm-hmm. So admire what God has created, admire, find gratitude and just being able where you're at. Like
recognize that you are his creation as well.
Right.
And like sitting in that.
Yeah.
Right. It helps so much. And I remember a couple weeks ago we did a shoot for Equipped in Power, right?
Oh yeah. For the Propel event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I we were there and it was the last night. And do you remember that worship sesh?
Yeah.
Like that they had? Yeah. It was beautiful. Like the Holy Spirit was moving in such a powerful way. I was like, oh gosh, like the instinct inside of me being the videographer for them, right? Like I need to catch this. Yeah. So I picked up my camera, I walked over, immediately felt convicted. Yeah. So I put the camera down and just worshiped. And I just sat in the presence of God during a shoot, right? Yeah. And that's why I believe like a lot of it has to do with discernment.
Yeah.
And like knowing when to be still, knowing when to rest, no matter where you are or what you're doing, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
And I don't know if you felt the same way, but I saw you worshiping over there.
Yeah, Propel was an amazing opportunity that we have, and such a sweet ministry. Yep. But being there, and we're like one of the 4 dudes at this thing, and there's a bunch of women there, and it's so cool. Like, oh yeah, you see all these women who are just being either wrecked or ministered to, like God is speaking to them, and then they're worshiping, they're doing what they were created for. And I felt the same tension type too, like, oh, I need to, and I was like, no, I can put it down.
Yeah,
it's cool. Not every story, not every single thing needs to be shared.
Yeah, and discerning that as a creative, especially
that's hard
in the church world.
Yeah,
it's hard.
World, it's hard, but even in a secular context too.
Can we talk about that week?
So, all right. So for those of you, so if you've had, I'm not going to say like struggles or hardships. I'm going to say it as opportunities. Opportunities for growth, opportunities for stretching, opportunities for trust. Like that week was cray. Like it was nuts. I mean, we had video shoots, we had this the Equip and Empower event, we had several other different things. We had brought on like a couple of new partner clients during the week, and my man's external hard drive
with all of my work for the past year just went out. And we were launching a podcast.
And we were launching a podcast
for a client on that Friday. And all of the footage was on there. So I was making phone calls, having conversations. Who do I take this to? Who can I get it repaired? Like this and that. And I really think I hit that burnout.
You did.
I definitely did. I've never felt that before. And from that, being on the outside of that, like once I got to that Saturday, bro, I was out of it.
Yeah.
And I got to rest.
And it was crazy. So I remember during that part, and this is like having to be instinctual and understanding, like having emotional, intelligence, all those different things. Because part of me was like, oh, come on, Zach. Like in my mind, I'm like, bro, why didn't we have a backup or different things like that? But then in the other reality, I was like, you know what? No matter what, like this has happened. I know this. I mean, I even lived it. And it started bringing back flashbacks of like, oh, wow, I remember when I had to, during the pandemic season, like our church was shooting like, weekends, digital weekend services during the pandemic. And I remember I'm editing everything and all of my information got corrupted on a Saturday. And we were pushing that video to go live on social media and Facebook and YouTube, all that stuff on Sunday morning. And so I'm grabbing a camera, calling a couple guys and being like, hey, we got to shoot everything like right now. Like that type of stuff, it makes you feel so helpless.
Yep.
But in some ways, could you say like, so that feeling of helpless, but like what helped what were maybe some of those like little instances where you're like, you felt God or maybe you just felt like, it's going to be all right. Like this weight, the enemy would want nothing more than to crush you.
Yeah.
But then you found release. Like, what was that like for you just in that? Maybe you can talk about it.
Like even just affirmation from that specific client as well. Like just having our clientele is awesome, bro. Like they're just such incredible people and I can rely on that.
Yeah.
So I called him up and was like, hey, like I don't know what to do. Like this is, and he's like, Zach, it's okay.
Yeah.
Calm down. So first off, praise God we're in ministry.
Relationships. Well, not even that, but it's relationships.
Exactly. Like
it's trust.
Building.
Communication.
Like he always says, like marriage. Like we're married.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. He says we're married now. We're a couple and it's fun. But
yeah, so just having that affirmation of like from, oh, this is going to affect them, but they don't see it as our fault. It's a setback, and it's okay. Yeah. And it's okay to have those moments. But I will say that entire week, you know what it taught me? You can actually prepare before the burnout happens.
Yeah.
And I didn't prepare. We were going, doing day to day, and things like that. And it's like, I didn't back up anything. I didn't prepare for a downfall. We haven't had one of those in ever.
We just haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been really blessed.
Yeah. And then that happened and like I just learned like, okay, I need to prepare better.
Yeah.
And it was such a learning experience. The next week, which was, I don't know when that was, but the next week I was like, okay, I'm going to grind and I'm going to get ahead on everything. I'm going to back everything up. And that's what I did.
And that's what we've done. We've added some extra fail safes to protect us.
Yep. And now we're learning from it.
Yeah.
We're learning from that those hard weeks and things like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to take this into a different direction.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a healthy rhythm and a healthy workflow for your creativity, it's so much easier for fear to work its way in. Am I right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. And like fear can stop you from your creativity. Like it can hinder your creativity. And having that fear of like, oh gosh, like, is this really going to support me the rest of my life? Is this post going to be out on time? Like having that fear, and it's not like fear can be a good thing. Right.
Yeah. No, there's good fear.
Like if a deer is running out in front of your car, like you're obviously gonna have that fear of like, oh gosh, I need to get out the way, right?
Yeah.
But if you stay in that fear, afterwards, like you're letting fear hinder your creativity. So it's really like that fear, that intrudes its way in if you aren't prepared, if you aren't having a healthy like time management and workflow and different things like that, like it just makes you more stressed.
Yeah.
Makes you more fearful for what could happen, right?
Yeah. I think
if that makes sense.
I think it does. I mean, this is something that sometimes I remind myself of this, like when it comes to fear, I feel like a lot of us feel like fear can lead to death. Yeah. Like we're so scared and fearful of what could happen, what may happen. Like it leads to death when in reality, I believe in my heart, and the older I get, the more I see just the truth in it. But, so many of us, we feel like fear leads to death, but in reality, fear robs us of life.
Mm-hmm. It does. And dude, like if you are prepared and your workflow is in a place where like if something happens, you're good. like you're chilling. If anything bad happens, like you won't like if you have those healthy rhythms set in place, like fear has no hold on you because okay, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
I have a backup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of, oh gosh, I got to go find the data recovery guy. And different things like that. Yeah. And I love taking it into a biblical approach. Yeah. Like what's said 365 times in the Bible. Do not be afraid. Right? Mm-hmm. Like that's so powerful. Yeah. Every single day. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. And how you don't be afraid is being prepared.
Yeah.
And knowing that like this life isn't perfect.
Right.
Your work isn't always gonna be like in this case saved. Right. You know, like the hard drive went out. There was nothing we could do about it. But we weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really just like
opportunity for growth.
No.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And I think you think of those, right? When those opportunities come, nothing more would fear want to do than to just stop us in our tracks. Mm-hmm. You know, but in reality, it's not the end. Like none of it's the end. It feels heavy. It feels drastic. Like it feels, oh my goodness, out of our hands, out of our control. But it's not the end. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really what is it often said? You know, sometimes setbacks are really just an opportunity for a setup.
Yep.
You know, yes. And I think about this when it comes to fear. What is it? Psalm 139 says, "I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." And then it talks about how wonderful are your hands. My soul knows it very well. I don't know if you resonate, but I feel like when it comes to fear, or when it comes to those struggles or those setbacks, which really God wants to use for setups, right? More oftentimes than not, I'm not worried about what everything else, like I may be worried about what somebody may think or may say, or the client or whatever that pertains to, that object or subject that it pertains to. But a lot of times, some of my bro, I end up just becoming so like difficult on myself. Like I judge myself. I condemn myself. I end up becoming fearful of my inadequacies. Like I start looking and focusing more on my weaknesses, or that I wasn't prepared, or that I wasn't that my personality or my structure, or hey, you weren't, as diligent. You maybe you procrastinated, or like you start thinking all these different things. But then come to find out, it's like, no, like who does God say that I am? You know?
Yep. Exactly.
So, because I think creativity, man, it's they're good. There's beautiful ways of doing it. It's all about bringing glory and almost kind of creating those moments of wonder and awe that ultimately lead back to God, because we as humans, like as humanity, we're made in His image, and all the world, all of creation, man, it serves as a testament, as a story of how good God is. Mm-hmm. And so, when those opportunities of fear try to set in, it's how do you move from that? How do you work through that?
Yeah. And I think a huge part of it is the environment that you're in. Mm-hmm. Like, I know we were talking about some like specifics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I need my coffee, man.
You and I both. Coffee is.
And taking this in a completely different direction though. Yeah. Of like healthy rhythms, because I know we kind of got off track with fear and everything, but like the healthy rhythms, like the environment is a huge part of that. Mental environment, physical environment. Like I need my light on in the back corner. I need my coffee. I need my 2 monitors and nothing else on my desk, right? Like I need it clear. Like little things like that. Like they play a huge part in balance, like having healthy rhythms. Don't it?
Maybe you can put in the chat or maybe also like send us some pictures. Like I know for me, as I have to have a certain setup. Like I've got to get things in I have to create my space.
Yeah.
Like I've got to get my space set up so that I can make things so that I can create things. So I'm finicky about that type of stuff too.
No, yeah, for sure. And like, also, like, prayer is a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the environment that you're in, is it covered by prayer?
Mm-hmm.
Is the company that you're running, is it covered by prayer? Is your mind and the pace that it's going, is it covered by prayer? Because if you don't allow God to be any part of what you're trying to build, like, it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
You know, before our shoots, we pray. We pray.
We do
every single time.
And sometimes it's either one or the other, and it's like get ready to, like, you feel like, all right, the train's moving, let's go. And it's like, no,
we stop.
Let's stop and let's pray and let's just get our mindset. We'll even just sit just for a moment or two.
Yep.
But got to keep the main thing. You know,
definitely important.
Because ultimately, I think too, you know, as a creative, you have an amazing opportunity. And what you're able to produce or what you're able to make or what story you're able to tell at that particular moment, its reach and the amount of fruit that it could yield is beyond our control.
Yeah.
And so I know, like, for me personally, it's like, God, you've given me this body, you've given me these hands, like, giving me my mind. Whatever I do, like, God, I as soon as I create it, Lord, it's yours. It's not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, whatever comes from it, may you bless it. Because in reality, you know, I don't want to keep doing things that doesn't bless the Lord, that doesn't bring him praise.
Every breath.
Yeah.
Everything that I do.
Yeah.
All for God.
Yeah.
Not like literally every single thing. Yeah. When I brush my teeth, when I comb my hair. Yeah. I don't use a comb, I use a brush.
It's all good. I use my fingers, bro. So,
but like literally everything you do.
Yeah.
Everything you do, no matter what it is, whether you're going to shoot, whether you're, editing a video, like I just remember how important it is. Yeah. And to even like be able to push out things like that, like there's people out there who are going to see the content that we create. And, like, it's so easy to forget about that. Yeah. Like, there are people who are lost that are going to see the content we create. Mm-hmm. And I think that every creative, especially in the ministry space, should recognize that. Yeah. Like, the things you're created, you're not just doing it because you have to and it's your job and it's work. Like, you're doing it because it's going to reach someone, you know, in any capacity, you know. And that's the kind of mindset to have. And I think that, like, we can pivot into like focusing on what you're doing. Like, if you're editing a video, you edit that video to the best of your ability. Yeah. Don't go sideways and go, like, you know, do something else and get distracted and this or that. If you're editing a video, like for a church, for instance, you are in that space and that mindset and that focus.
Yeah, you're plugged into that moment.
Exactly. And you're going to get that video done to the best of your ability. Yeah. I don't care what else you have to do today, this and that. Like, whatever you're doing, whether it's a graphic or you're designing a website or anything like that, like, your focus should be there and nowhere else, right? Because there are people that are going to see that. Yeah. There are people that are going to be impacted by that. And if your focus isn't there, then it's not going to be the best that it can be.
Yeah.
Right? And that focus brings productivity.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for all of us in some way, we've got to figure out what are those productivity moments, like those power hours, almost, you could even call it, like, because we all have to learn how to maximize our time to create moments of focus, to create a space and in such a way then put yourself in a place where you can be in the zone, right? Really dialed in, you know. And I love how you were talking about just discernment. Like, that's what I really feel like when people talk about being in the zone and kind of being with the flow and attentive and all of those different things. Like, I just feel like you're flowing with the Spirit. You're in the zone. You're in the moment of just knowing, okay, God, this is what I'm putting my hands to. This is where my eyes are fixed on you. Lead me, guide me, all those different things. You know, as a creative, I guess, how would you, Zach, how would you encourage someone who's watching or our listeners and stuff like that? Like, how would you encourage them to embrace their faith. When it comes to just their creative pursuits, when it comes to their ambition, their goals, their dreams, all those different things. How would you encourage them?
I would encourage you by calling out your distractions and putting them to death.
Okay.
Right? That's one aspect.
So what do you mean by that?
By distractions, like it could be literally anything.
Okay.
Like your phone. It could be Netflix. It could literally be anything. Yeah. Like you have to determine like what's a distraction for you and what's important for you. You know? That's the biggest thing. Can you say your question again one more time?
Yeah. So how would you encourage our crew here how to embrace their faith behind their pursuits, like in what they're doing? So as they're pursuing their dreams, creating all those, like how would you encourage them to embrace their faith?
Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second.
I got you.
But yeah, like cutting out distractions, determining what your distractions are.
Yeah,
because
that's a big one.
A lot of people, they have distractions. They don't even consider them distractions, but they are, and they're hindering.
They're so used to it.
Exactly, they're hindering what they could be doing.
Yeah.
If I want to go to the gym, I'm gonna go to the gym. You know, but like some people say, I don't have time for the gym. But then they're staying up late at night watching Netflix.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really determining what's your distractions, what's important for you, and do you really want to reach that goal, right? And God helps you decide what's that. Like God, like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to cut out? Like, what do you, where should I take this, right? And that brings me to my second thing is prayer. Pray.
Yeah.
Pray. Literally just, God, like, how can I make this project better?
Yeah.
God, how can I manage my time? God, can you bring me someone to help me manage my time? Yeah. Like whatever your prayers may be, he's listening.
Yeah.
When you pray, like Elijah says he prays earnestly, and the Bible actually talks about how he prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and never stopped praying for 3.5 years before God brought rain on the land. You know? And it said he prayed earnestly. And when I was doing a study, like this was probably like a year ago, and it stuck with me. Like I remember this. I did a study. Pray earnestly means pray with prayer. Isn't that weird? It means pray with prayer.
Yeah.
When you pray, you're not praying to just the ceiling.
Yeah.
You're praying to a God who listens to you, who like hears you. Like he literally wants to help you. He wants to be a part of your story.
Yeah.
And he wants to write your story, and he wants to guide you.
Yeah.
And I think relying on God and your creativity is so significant.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And I think there's two things, right? So
what are some practical things
for
that they could do?
Well, I think so you got the spiritual component, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Getting to know God.
Yeah.
But then the other practical things you can do is really getting to know like who you're working with or who you're working for. Because it's a relationship. So when I know my client or when I know the partner that I'm working with, and all right, this is what I'm going to give my time to now. First off, I pray, God help me. But practical stuff is like, how have I grown in my relationship with those that I'm working for or working with so that I have a better understanding? You know, because then I know, like, I'm not having to second guess or do different things like that, but I can really work on that. And then the other one, you know, just making the most of every opportunity. So if I know, like, hey, my schedule is this, or like, for instance, I've got my kids' event that's coming up, or I got to pick up so-and-so, or I've got another meeting, can I just carve out this time and make it really good? You know, and if I have to break it up into different segments and quadrants, then I can do that. But, you know, those are definitely the things for sure that I would say. So.
Yep, that is so true. So, as we come to a close, like, there's a lot of people out there that still don't understand, like, the whole flow of things, like in their creative business and their workflow, whatever, whoever they're doing work for, right? Like it's hard for them to really get a grasp of like where they're taking this thing, and like they have all this vision, they have all these goals, like I want to do this, but how do I get there?
Yeah.
And it's like the rhythms, like we were talking about, like the rhythm, the healthy rhythms, like how would someone out there that's like, I still have no idea what a healthy rhythm looks like how would you define that?
Well, one, I would say first off, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know if we'll ever become masters of it.
That's true.
I don't think we'll ever become masters of like, masters of flow or masters of getting into the zone and walking discernment and all those things. But I think we can become great students of it.
Yeah.
And almost to the point where we really know who God is, one, and then really gain an understanding of who he made us to be. So that then when I am concentrating and getting myself set, I don't have to feel like I got to be somebody else or do someone else's type of creative work. I can be me.
Yeah.
And I can be comfortable and actually excited about that. And learn not even just to be excited about it, but learn how to just be, this is good. So maybe for some of you, like, learn how to just find the joy in just where you're at and what you get to do.
Yep. You're not going to become a Marvel movie editor overnight.
No, you're not going to become, because it's always about those small things, and it's always about...
And it's patience.
Patience. And if you just keep moving forward, keep learning something new, keep stretching yourself, keep stepping out past the fear, and allow that fear to help bring some life to you.
No.
Like, I mean, we've stepped out with certain things that, whew, it could have been a little fearful, could have been like, oh my gosh, what is going on? But we've stepped out, and it's been exhilarating, it's been rewarding, it's been life-giving to be like, wow, Lord, thank you. Seriously, like, thank you. We got to be a part of that. Yeah. I didn't see that coming, a few months ago, but it was like, because of your faithfulness, because of your goodness, and because, you know what, Lord, we've put ourselves in a position by being prepared and by growing and trying to be students of our craft. Because we've done those things, you've been faithful with the much.
Yep.
He's been faithful with the more. So be faithful with the little. Be consistent with the little. Be dedicated to the little,
And to end it off, one thing I would like to say is know, like, if it's working for you, don't go outside of that box and, like, rush into other things because you feel like you want to grow this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, don't, like, do what you're good at and be, like, I'm not going to go start a graphic company on the side of more creatives, because I'm not the best graphic designer. But I feel like a lot of people have this mindset of, like, the more that I can do, the more that I can grow and this and that. But it's learning to say no to the things that, like, God has given you specific gifts.
Yeah.
Use them.
Yep.
And stay there. Stay put. Let him bless you.
Yeah. Let him develop you.
I had an opportunity to go to Rhode Island and meet up with this agency that does weddings.
Yeah.
And I sat there. They were going to pay me good.
Yeah.
And it was going to be awesome.
I mean, you even committed to it, actually. You were like, hey, I'm planning on, I'll be joining you guys.
They're awesome people. Love them to death. But I was sitting there, and I was, like, looking around and seeing what God was doing in this company. And I was like, why am I going to do weddings? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good opportunity.
Great opportunity, yeah.
But it wasn't a God opportunity. That's like, I like that's so important to learn to say no. Because if you start mixing in things that you're not passionate about in the mix of your workflow, it's not going to turn out good.
Yeah.
God has blessed you with the gifts that you have.
Yeah.
for a specific reason.
That's good.
And don't think you have to do it all. You don't have to do it all. You don't. The part you play. Wait. Oh, I said that wrong.
No, it's okay.
The part. What you're a part of is bigger than the part that you play.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. Shout out to Hillsong College for that one. Yeah. So learning that as well. And so to wrap it all up, like, know your environment, know your community, build good relationships.
Yeah. Find your flow.
Find rest.
You know.
And don't let fear trickle its way in and let Satan give you lies about your giftings and where you're going and where you're growing, because God's got you. He listens to you. He hears you. He's there to help you and guide you. God wants nothing more than to see his children doing what he's called them to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
God has called us to this.
Yeah.
And that's why we've seen such amazing blessings out of it.
Yeah.
It's because we listened, we prayed before we even started this thing, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember in your kitchen?
Yeah.
We prayed.
Yeah.
We drew up the logo.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, God, like, what do you want to do with this?
Yeah.
And we have seen constant blessing. So it's really just listening to the voice of God, not letting fear trickle its way in, and learning your rhythms and your workflow and your time management. And please, for the love of God, rest. Rest. Do not get burnt out like me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think doing those things. And lastly, I would just say, too, maybe you find yourself watching and this whole prayer thing is different, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're like I think you mentioned, like, I don't know how to pray. What? Just talk. Mm-hmm. Set aside some space. Maybe you're on this journey of faith. You know, Zach and I, we believe in a God that truly loves each and every single one of us, that he sent his son Jesus. Mm-hmm. But maybe you might be watching and it's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet. Or I don't know if I understand. That's all right. You know, but it's creating time to just get away and figure out where you're at. See how things are lined up, where how things are laid out, and it's our heart and our desire that as you continue to invest in yourself, as you continue to step out in faith, or to step out in taking chances, or whatever that may, you know, some people they're still not familiar with faith stuff either.
No.
But our heart and our desire is that, one, you would be encouraged, that you would grow. And then ultimately, like, you know, God will do what he does best.
Yep. And last thing, can I promise them something?
Sure. I like promises. It's okay.
I'm going to promise you something. It's always better. I promise you.
Yeah.
It's always better with God.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Hey, so make sure you subscribe, leave us some things in the comments.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good stuff. We're excited to really get back to this and ultimately grow with you.
And encourage you and just see where God takes this thing, because we have such a heart for helping people.
We really do. Yeah.
So comment questions, do what you need to do. Like, subscribe.
Exactly.
Feel free to DM us on Instagram if you want to talk through some things. Whatever it may be. We're here to
Sounds
help
good.
you. So
all right,
thank you guys so much for watching.
Everybody. Thanks a lot.
The More Creatives Podcast.